Born in Libreville, Gabon, he is the only boy in a family of 8 children. He first studied banking and finance before a bachelor's in philosophy at the University of Jos, Plateau State. He began acting in 2001 and he appeared in about 200 films. He started a movie production company, Untamed Productions, in 2007 and owns a record label, Untamed Records, where he's worked with Baba, late Sound Sultan, amongst others. Please sit back and meet up close and personal James Iyke Esemoha, popularly known as Iyke.
I'm allergic to mushroom.
Oh, are you trying to get into character before the show?
I'm allergic to mushroom. I mean it.
You're good. I can never tell if you actors are being serious or not. I mean,
I'm serious.
yeah, you're serious.
I'll kill you. I'm gonna kill you. If I survive this girl.
I really want to thank you very much for taking time out finally to have this conversation with us.
I can't complain. The universe has been far too kind.
Now, let's take a backflip and, just go back a teeny weeny bit and see how you exactly got into this industry.
As I traveled down memory lane, so it's blurred with time. And I was fresh out of college. I finished my first degree when I was really young. I was barely 20, and I didn't know what to do with my life at that point. The general view at home, as you know, with all Igbo parents, they've orchestrated your life from inception to the day you meet your end. So the whole idea was, after this, I was going to get my master's, the PhD, then join the workforce. But I think we changed all that. I came to Lagos to do something, and for some reason, I ran into a friend that was going for an audition. We went to the audition, and I did a very short stint in the movie with Ramsey. I'm third generation Nollywood. Second generation being Ramsey, Iyke, Nyocha. What's the name of the tall guy with a scar? There are a whole bunch of them then, Francis Duru. So they had this movie, and I went over there. They wanted me to play billboard. I mean the snooker. And when they said action, I froze. I couldn't react because I was so starstruck with Ramsey and Iyke being on that set. They still laugh at me about that till date. So it was a moment of realization for me that something uncommon happened. And when I left, I said, this is what I want to do. A lot of people thought it was a cursory interest, something that was a passing fancy that I probably indulge in a few times. I'll be fine and go back to the rhythm and I've been aligned with. But that's it, it's stuck. I went back home, had a conversation with my father, and he said he laughed at me. He just had a good laugh and asked me if the fever I had last week was still disturbing me. But I persisted. We kept talking about it. And then he called in my uncle to talk to me to no avail, brought my mom in, no avail. They had a family meeting on my head and asked me. I said, this is it. I'm not ready to travel. This is what I want to do. And so we started fighting. We were deciding. My dad and I have always been really close. I'm an only son, so we have that bond. So after a long while, and when things started getting really ugly and the arguments were getting really, bad, he asked me to leave the house. They thought that was, he said I should go. His words, his exact words, I've not had a hard life. And so if I don't know where my next meal is coming from or where I'm going to put my head at night, that would probably reset my head. But it didn't. It took 2 years to come back home. And when I came back home 2 years after, I was a star.
Now you got into the industry and then you started playing the bad boy role. I mean, almost, if I may say, about 3/4 of your roles have always been the bad boy role. How come you were stigmatized or you were always cast in this role?
It became more like a stereotype. It's Nollywood of old. Once you excel in a certain role, you remember in Kiru Sylvanus, she just had to cry in one film. and they turned her whole life to a cry, unending crying scene, you know. Oh man, I just played one bad boy role. They were like, Igbo will make it sweet. The Iyke them off for man. It means this is the thing you do well.
Some of us know a little bit about you and that you are not as bad as the characters you play in most of your productions. So, what is the real Jim Iyke like when he's not in front of the camera?
Because that was I think more than anything else, what was the element of dispute, the element of conflict, if you will. I've always been, a loner. I enjoy it. That's what fuels my creativity. That's what fuels my peace of mind. God doesn't make mistakes. When you try to fit yourself a square peg in a round hole, you will have discomfort. So for a long time in the industry, I was uncomfortable because I was running with the pack. I was running in cliques. I was running with entourages. I was running with associates. That was the traditional sense of existence, of even thriving in the industry. But that wasn't for me. It rallied against every belief that I had, all the support system, all the ideology that was imbued in me. I come from a really big family, but being one guy with so many women, it tells a different story. It means you early in life, you'll find comfort by yourself. Okay, I find comfort in books. I read extensively. I read a lot of books. I find comfort in watching movies and just being by myself. The girls had a lot to discuss. They had boyfriends, our parents, shoes and bags. I didn't have anything to contribute every time they start this conversation.
Now, you were talking about playing, being different people. I was on the sets of Bad Comments, and I've seen Bad Comments from the beginning to the end. Without letting too much out, tell us a little bit about your latest project.
Bad Comment is you and I, is everybody in this room. As long as you're within the 2 to 90-year-old strata, you are Bad Comment. You fit the mold either as a troll or as a victim, or vice versa. We've all been there. As long as you exist, you coexist in the internet, social media ecosystem, you are Bad Comment.
You came after me. You destroyed everything that I stood for. You found me on Twitter. You found me on Instagram. You found me on Facebook. Your comments. Your 5 hate-filled comments.
You beat an old man.
Frank Orchid is a devil.
What is going on in my life?
How?
Mommy.
What's it go? Abiago.
What is people?
When they tryna hold me, I go zoom, zoom, zoom. When they tryna hold me, I go zoom, zoom, zoom. Don't like your vibe and I go zoom, zoom, zoom. Blowing out the roof and it go boom, boom, boom. Don't you ever treat me like I do.
It's alright.
Bad energy, I
Half of your social media followers are not your fans.
when I copy. What happened to you? When they tryna.
I don't want it to be tagged in Nollywood, Bollywood, or Hollywood film. It's a film, a universally viable film. And that's why we pulled no stops. And that's why it took so much budget. That's why it took so many skilled hands to make. And that's why it took as long as it did to make. So this is one work I can beat my chest to say is my greatest work yet. And I'm really honored to let the world share it with me.
Now, you've been in acting forever. Now you're into production. What's the future for Jim Iyke?
I think I'm more of a businessman now than an actor. I found out that I enjoy being more of a father than a party goer or hanging out. And I enjoy hanging out with my nieces and cousins. I like when my house is full and there are little faces jumping on my bed every morning. My sons, my nieces, my nephews. Peace is addictive. And I found it in a certain degree that somehow makes me feel blessed every day. It eluded me all my life in the industry. So I see a lot of people, and I'm not judging, that I think they shortchanged or switched the personal happiness for self-gratification and playing so-called industry games. So the future is, we've been blessed to create so many platforms in real estate and logistics and the gaming industry, in construction, contracts. I want to focus and develop that as a legacy to my kids so that they won't have to struggle the way I did. And, make them trust fund babies. I like that. So that they can do nearly everything they want to do, but not everything they want to do. You still have to instill hard work to them. I just want to focus on my mental health a lot more than trying to narrow myself into this space everybody's jammed into of trying to be like everyone else. There's no happiness there. Happiness is when you find yourself, you rediscover yourself, you attune yourself to God as I understand it. Okay? It's a very personal decision. So the future for me is what makes me happy. That's all. It's no more about what make other people happy. I've given them 15 years. And I think in that time, I paid with my blood, my sweat, and my tears. And so I've bought the right to come and go as I please. So every time I come, they will understand that I have something to say, something to show. And anytime they don't see me, I will understand that the seats are occupied, that nobody can feel it. It's a promise. So I think it's an unspoken gentleman agreement I've had already. And on that note, I just keep looking for higher grounds on how to be at peace with myself and at peace with people around me. I think that is the best way to live, if you ask me.
I really want to thank you very much for taking time out to have this conversation with us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
James Ikechukwu Esemoha, popularly known as Jim Iyke, up close and personal. When we return from a short break, we'll bring you more of Nollywood. Uncut. Please stay tuned.